She's such a he's such a fool for her love.
I haven't watched it on my computer for a very long time, and I feel like I'm used to whenever there's a screening, I look at the audience. I don't look at the film anymore. So it was funny to like watch the film again and just watch the film and not being able to look at anybody.
You are forced to be an audience member of your own work. That is definitely
Yeah.
an experience. Yes. So for those of us who joined us a little late, my name is Heidi Basch-Harod, and I'm the executive director of Women's Voices Now, where we use film to drive social change that advances girls' and women's rights globally. And today we are joined by Shoval Tshuva, director of the short film Funky, which is exploring a young woman's journey to healing after sexual assault. And October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. I don't know if you all know that. So this is a very appropriate film to be showing this month. And also something I like to share with audiences is that we've come a long way with women's rights throughout the world, girls' rights as well. But the statistic that doesn't quite seem to change and actually got worse after the global pandemic was the rate of women who experience gender-based violence in their lifetime. So before the pandemic, it was 1 in 4. After the pandemic, it was 1 in 3. And the majority of sexual-based violence, gender-based violence that women experience is from intimate partners. So it is very common that that is where women will have a sexually violent experience in their life. And for many reasons, we have not been able to address that properly as a global society. So it is always an appropriate time to talk about this topic, whether it's October or any other month. And Shuval, I think you've made a very brave film. And I watch a lot of films having to do with women's and girls' rights, short and feature. And I think what can be challenging about short films is how do you really draw your audience immediately in when you have a very little amount of time to tell a story? And I think that you do that brilliantly and beautifully. And I think every second of this film is really well utilized. And so congratulations. It really sends a deep, serious message. And it's funny and it's sarcastic and all the things. So I'm really impressed, and I'm really grateful that you would share this film with us at Women's Voices Now. And my first question for you, if you're ready, are you ready?
Yes.
Is would love to know a little bit about how you decided to make this film and how you navigated the responsibility of talking and well, more like showing such a sensitive topic that sadly affects way too many women and girls throughout the world.
It's funny because if you ask me what I wanted to do when I was younger, I've always wanted to make films, and I had ideas for like longer like feature formats or like the only short that I written when I was in college was something that was taken during World War II, and the budget for it would have been crazy. And I was with that question for a while, like what kind of short would I want to do? What kind of story can I tell in like 10 minutes, that it will be concise, that it will show who I am as a filmmaker, that it will tell the kind of stories that I want to tell. And I, the idea kind of landed in the most, like I was with that question for a while. Like I knew that like this was the time for me to do it, but I didn't know exactly the story and how it would unfold. So from a creative, I guess, perspective, it's important to stay in the question and not try to force yourself. And I was at this event and they were selling toys, and my friend was trying to encourage me to buy a toy since I didn't have one. And that's kind of what sparked that idea. Like a couple of days after that, I was listening to Funky Town, and that's how this whole story started. And the line that kind of like hit for me was they gotta move on. And it's funny because I saw all of it right away. It was very clear for me from the moment that I have the idea that the name of the film is Funky, and this is how I'm doing the story. And I guess I will share that it's based on my personal experiences. I was assaulted when I was younger, and it really affected my life. And I felt like all the stories that you see about assault, they deal with the assault itself and nothing really tells you how you move on. How do you live with something like that? How do you date with something like that? How do you find confidence in your body and your libido after something like that? And I felt like I went into this film, like into doing this film with all of those questions. And it was so therapeutic working on it without even like thinking that this is what it will do. It was like so healing for me to do it and like to see it and to see other people responding to it. And yeah, so I guess this is how it all started. And I feel like because it's something that happened to me, I wanted to be very true to how it felt for me. Like I wanted the flashbacks to feel like flashbacks. I didn't want to give, it was important for me to give a trigger warning in the beginning because I I don't like it when films don't do that. I feel like you should have the preparation. You should know what you're getting yourself into. Like there were times that I would be in the audience watching a film, I knew nothing what it would be about. And just like knowing that like small detail would have helped me like prepare for it better. So it was important for me to have that in the beginning, and it was important to also be true to the experience of my story and my journey.
Thank you for that answer. So what I want to respond with is in this work with women's voices now, there's many films that we have that deal with sexual violence, very sadly, and it's just the truth. And something I've spoken about that filmmakers quite often mention is that it's a gift today to be able to make our own films and to be able to distribute, like to share them how and where and when we want them, because what it means is that we're actually having survivor stories that are true to life experience, right? They're not manufactured by Netflix and what Netflix thinks we can make sexual violence into entertainment, for example, right? So that automatically, because a woman makes the film and has creative direction and license and all the things over it, that the film can offer healing instead of sort of the weird thing that we do with sexual violence in the entertainment world, right? So just wondering if you have anything to say about that, and just were there other avenues that because I know it's a struggle to distribute films like this too. So sort of what was the journey of deciding I'm doing this on my own, I'm going to stick it out and make sure that I'm in charge of how it's distributed and what audiences share, what audiences see, who sees it and how they see it. So wonder if you could just speak to that a little bit.
So it's funny because like I wasn't like I knew that this is what I was doing and I didn't even question that. Like it was like this is when also I didn't tell anybody what the film was about while working on it. Like my family, my mom is here, my sisters are here. I didn't tell them what the film was about until it was done. I didn't I was like I was scared that I will not do it, that I will get scared. So I was just going without thinking too much because I knew that it was more important to create than to not create. And I felt like the very first screening that I had, like a very first premiere. It was a smaller one, and it wasn't a smaller one. It was a smaller one for me because I live in New York, and like our first screening was in LA. So I had some friends, but I didn't have a lot of like people like I had in our New York screening. And just to see how people reacting to it that are not necessarily my closest people. And there was actually a survivor in the crowd who told me that, like, it was like your film, he told me, your film make me feel better. And
Mm.
that was like the best thing that I could get. The best comment that I could get. This was the idea behind making it. Also, all the name of the characters has meaning, and I called like the name of the main character is Ella, because Elea in Hebrew means to her, and I wrote it to the girl I was. So yeah, I feel like I didn't think too much about that, but I feel like it is really important to, um, it is really important. I feel like there is like what I'm seeing from the industry, there is like a really big wave of like independence and like independent filmmaking and films that are made from people who actually love film, that it's not like a big studio or someone just calling the shots, and like there's something that it's more real and raw. And I feel like audiences are also looking for that. So yeah, I feel like it's just finding your audience at the end of the day. And if you do something that is true to I feel like it's just being true to the story and like true to who you are as a storyteller. Um, people will connect to it.
I agree. And I think it's successful across all the things in that what everything that you just said. I have another question for you. And just for the audience to know, we are going to take audience questions. So definitely put them in the chat. Shuval, know that we will have Bonnie ask them of you when it's time for audience questions. But I definitely have a few more, and I'm gonna use my time with you to ask the question. So the film, even though it's only 10 minutes, takes us through some pretty disturbing. I feel it, but the music, the sound, the breathing, you put all the elements in there to make us feel maybe just a little millimeter of the fear and violation and everything that you felt. And again, in such a short amount of time, but you still had to film those scenes. You still had to think about those, how you were going to present those scenes. You had to have other people involved in the room while lighting, camera, all the different things that go into actually making a film. So how did you go about shooting those scenes, and how did you take care of yourself? Because you were reenacting your trauma basically, and that's dangerous sometimes. So tell us about that process.
So that was a lot of that took a lot of preparation. I was working with an acting coach. I was able to get in and out of it very quickly. I also the fact that I was the director of the film really helped because I was able to choose who's gonna be around while filming something like that, which is not something that you get necessarily on sets. But I was able to choose my team, which I think it was like a blessing and like something like this. The day of the day that we filmed this scene was the assault scene was the last thing we filmed on that day, and then we had a break for 3 days, and then we continued filming. So we filmed all of the bar footage during the day, and this was the last scene. And we had to change the location the day of. There were so many things that were going wrong. So on top of that, I also had that in like the back of my mind that I still need to film that scene. And I remember that I thought like it was a very small, like it's called a close set, like which means it's like it's whoever like as minimal as possible. Because usually you have a lot of people on set. So it was as minimal crew as possible. And I and what I said that like there's no action, there's no cuts. We're doing it one time and we're doing it one time only. And I was like, you're not stopping the camera if I'm crying, you're not stopping the camera if I'm screaming. I'm doing it one time. That's
Mm.
it. And we shot it, and I asked afterwards to see the playback, and everybody, no, 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 don't worry. I remember like my DP taking the camera down and excelling heavily because people like it felt a little bit too, I guess,
Hmm.
realistic, which means that the acting was good.
Hmm.
But I knew that like I felt very protected. I was telling jokes before we filmed it. Like I was in a really good space, and I feel like it's really important because the two actors that I filmed it with, um, one of them was telling me jokes. One of them was very like serious, like let's make sure we're doing everything right. And I feel like that was a really good balance to have on something like this.
Yeah.
Um, and I asked to see the playback afterwards, and when I saw the playback, I realized that the bed was not moving, and I was like, we need to film this again.
Oh my gosh.
And and we did. So it ended up being 2 takes. Yeah, my dress got ripped. It was like it was yeah, we did, but we did it again. Everything was fine after that, and that was it. And actually, a friend stayed with me that night because we thought it might be rough afterwards, but I was okay.
Wow, that's a very intense process. Very, very intense. If you could, if someone watches this conversation in the YouTube world and is listening to you, and they've also been through and survived something you've survived too, what would be a little bit of advice or hand holding through how, I mean, you're a filmmaker, you get to retell the story and make it on your terms, like you just explained to us. But what are some of the other tools or yeah, just guidance assistance you've had in terms to have such a strong voice about this that you would suggest to someone else as well?
I feel like therapy is really important. I will start with that, and having a good support system, if it's your friends, if it's your family, if it's someone that you can just talk to. I feel like this is a really big part of the process of healing. Before even going into making a film about it, I was very lucky to have the people in my life that I have. Also, like, I was very ha lucky to have the crew that I had in this, and everybody felt very. But even one of the actors like texted me after we filmed that scene, and he was like, "I just wanted to make sure that you're okay." And it was funny because I'm the director, but so that's what I'm saying. It's just like it's finding your people, and it's finding your people in your life, but also finding your people in your creative process. Um, but if I can give anybody an advice, is that healing and trauma, it's not something that it's linear. It comes in waves, and it's part of it, but it's like I try to stay as optimistic as possible, and to fill my life with gratitude and good. And it's not easy, but I trained myself to do that. But yeah, I feel like it's also something that was important for me in the film to not say how much time passed,
Mhm.
because I don't feel like there's like a specific formula or a specific timing of how long it takes to move on, or how long will it takes to heal. It's like I feel like it's something that it stays, and it stays there. Like, things happen to us, but like we cannot let it define us.
I couldn't agree more. That was very good. That was very good advice. Um, moving to a little bit of a lighter topic, the shooting of the film. It's 10 minutes, but how many months? How much location requests, getting people together, music, props, what people were wearing? Tell us a little about the process of making the film. We have a lot of young filmmakers in our audience and filmmakers all over the world. So just a little bit about what it took to make this film.
So the process of Funky was insanely quick. Like when the stars align, they're aligned. Like I don't like, people ask me how did it happen? I have no idea. I literally don't know. Like the universe worked in my favor. I got the idea and started writing the script in July 2022. We filmed in November 2022. We
Wow.
premiered in August 2023. It's insanely quick. It's not like I have scripts that are sitting, haven't touched on, and like it's not something that's usual. So when I had the idea, and while I was writing the script, so I wrote the script, like the first draft, in between July and September. July and August, like the first draft was ready between that, and then like I was editing until we filmed, pretty much in November. But right away, I started like reaching out to people. Like I started like thinking about where I want to film, what I want to do. I love working with my friends. I have a lot of creative friends. So I like the costume designer was my friend Millie. And we kind of like created the whole thing together. We thought about what kind of colors we want the character to wear, what everything like symbolized things. Like so many of my friends were involved in all of it. And I reached out to a lot of people through social media. I went to an art fair to find the art in the gallery, and the art was never like presented in a gallery in New York, and I had to get a permission from the family of the artist. The artist passed away. His name is Chuck Ramirez. A brilliant, brilliant, brilliant artist. I had to get a permission from his sister, and we filmed it in the gallery that it's part of his estate, called Rose Haley Gallery in New York in the Upper East. In terms of location, 10-minute short, but we had over 7 locations. We filmed at Pleasure Chest, which was insane because Sex and the City filmed there. The coffee shop is Daily Provisions. I wrote my entire script there, so they let us film there. So there was like so many things that fell into place because it's again, it's where I live, it's where I get inspired. Like New York is a huge part of everything that I do. And I'm happy that the film has that. I'm happy that like there's so many different neighborhoods and like it's filmed a lot in the West Village. Like Emmett Grove is in the West Village, her apartment was in the West Village. Um, but yeah, there was like so many things and everything fell into place. Like I feel like we got one of the locations a day, like 2 days before filming, which was insane. And like my DP was like, Shoval, this is not okay. And I was like, everything will fall into place. Sometimes being delusional, it works.
And we don't see any of that from what we just watched. It was just such a beautifully edited, smooth, cohesive story. I think it's really incredible. I really enjoy, I mean, enjoyed is the right word. I loved learning about the correlation of the fingers and the Greek gods and goddesses. I thought that was a great scene. And there's, again, like such a short amount of time, but you put so much in there. So it was just really
It's funny because I went on a date and the guy was saying that, and like I mentally was like, record. Like I was like, I'm like taking everything he's
good
saying.
material.
I was like, this is amazing. I'm using this.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, and I love that you're so resourceful. And yes, New York is New York. How wonderful that you're able to incorporate your life and inspiration into the film. And that's life, right? Like you're talking about such a traumatic event and yet this is where yeah, and then there's so much beauty, right? There's the film is actually so beautiful. I think like again, you did a wonderful job with colors and music and lighting and sound and all the things. So it just felt really real to life, just sort of the paradox of living that we can walk around with such trauma and such hardship, but we also have to still go to our coffee shop and play with our friends and make jokes and go on dates and all the things. So I think you really captured that, yeah, that sort of like split screen existence that some of us live more than others. So just really well done. Well done.
Thank you.
I will stop my questions now because we're already at 12:37. So I want to take a look at the chat. And I'm going to ask Bonnie to be our MC here and just maybe you can read the comments and also the questions, and Shuval can respond to the comments and also respond to the questions, please.
Hi, everyone. Yes. A question from Cindy here says, how are you distributing the film?
So for now, the film is not online because I am still touring and going to schools and showing the film in schools and like colleges. So it's not online yet, but after we'll finish that, it will be online.
So I have a follow-up to that. If you are someone in the audience who has students or young, school that would like to view it, how do they request that from you?
Just email. Just
Okay.
email. Email me, social media, and like this is how we were doing that so far. I was in LA. I screened in several schools in New York, and I feel it's very also like in some of them there was one that was just like for women, and we talked about like filmmaking and different kind of stuff, and it's a fun educational process, and also obviously talking about the importance of what the film is about.
Great. So your Instagram handle, for example, is the best way for folks to go about.
Yeah, that's great.
Great. Okay, we can help get that information out to folks. Bonnie, back to you.
Yes, great. And thank you so much for that. And then we have Sherry Wicker who said, how did it help heal you? I think you already elaborated on a lot of that, but if you want to elaborate a little more of how this helped heal that season of your life.
I feel like it's really interesting, and I feel like I'm still as I feel like I said that in like at some point today, but like I feel like healing is not something I feel like I will continue healing myself until like forever. I feel like, but I can see the change of who I was before Funky and who I am after. Um, First of all, I didn't talk about the assault. This was how I decided to talk about it. Um, and I also feel like putting it like this in the universe. It's kind of like letting go and letting go of it all, of like of everything that was holding me back, of all the I, I don't know if it's like mix of things of like fear and pain and anger and so many different emotions that are part of trauma. And it's just putting it out there. And I feel like it's also like it's kind of putting, like, I can't explain. I can't, I like, it's not like I'm never gonna get an answer of like why this happened to me. But if I can put it out there and if it could help someone else, it makes it a little better. So I feel like that's something that really helped with that, and also seeing how people receive it and react to it. I think that was really helpful for me.
From all the exploding hearts and hugs and claps and everything you're giving, and I mean, you're clearly, I mean, for me too, what your words are resonating very strongly, and I think this is Women's Voice Now. We're all about this, like the power of film to make people feel and to heal and to, see themselves in other people's stories and to, just sort of see, wow, if someone can go through that process, maybe I can too. If they don't have as much support as you, like, I mean, you do have an incredible support system and you had to take that journey by yourself. So if someone is by themselves without the support system, your story does support them, right? That becomes their support. So it's just so, so powerful. Bonnie, back to you.
No, that is really good. One of the things we tell our girls, we have a summer intensive, it's called Girl Voices Now, and they go on to make documentary films about the things that have affected them. And the number one thing that is encouraged to them is exactly what you're doing here, is that the minute that you release your story and your pain and share it with others, you unlock a key for others to start doing the same. So this film, not only is it just a valuable, powerful film, but you are helping someone else start their healing journey by sharing yours. So just an encouragement from me.
I also want to say something to that.
Yeah.
Before I felt comfortable telling my story, I actually did a documentary about someone else's story, and I did a photo essay about other survivors. I filmed protests about sexual assault, or like things that happened related to that, because I felt like I wanted to be a part, but I couldn't vocalize. I couldn't say it happened to me too. So sometimes you can find power in that as well. Like in sharing a story of someone else. It's like it's also could also help you. I didn't have I couldn't say that it happened to me then, but obviously now we're at a different point.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. And then the last question, I feel like you actually already spoke about this, but I'm just going to ask it for everyone to hear. Becky asked, "How did you choose your crew?" And I believe you already took us down the road of how you went on that process.
So my casting process and my casting, like for like both crew and cast, is based on energy. It has to feel right. And like even like in other projects, in things that I'm working on right now, it's all about the energy of the people that you work with. It's all about the energy that you want to have on your set. And it's really important to work with people that see your vision, to see what you want to have. And film is a collaborative experience. I cannot do it by myself. Like, I have to trust. I have to trust my editor, my producer, my DP, my gaffer, my sound mixer. Like, there's so many people that involve into making a film, and I feel like this is one of my favorite things about it. It's like it's you learn from people, you listen to people, and you get all of those like creative brains together, and this is what you get. And yeah, so it was really important for me. Actually, I only found the producer pretty much 10 days before filming, because it was hard for me to find someone that I felt like I needed someone that I can like trust completely. And she was exactly that. Her name is Kat Donachie. And she was amazing. And also my assistant director. There's honestly so many people who were part of this. And I'm so grateful that they wanted to work with me. Also, it was my first film. Like I went to places and I was like I remember the gallery, I went to meet them for the first time and like she introduced me, oh, this is the filmmaker I told you about. And it was the first time someone called me a filmmaker. And I felt like such an imposter. But yeah, it's like it's all of my firsts together and I'm happy that it was with this film and like I feel like it's such a true representation of who I am as a storyteller. And we did touch on that, but like I feel like the humor was like part of it from the very beginning because I feel like that's life.
Yeah, that is well, it's a remarkable first film. I think it's
Thank you.
fantastic. Yeah. So you alluded to the fact that you're working on other things. What are your next projects? Whatever you can share with us.
So I have a couple. I also will say that I do work with a lot of brands on commercial, like if it's like films, video commercials, like all of that kind of stuff. But in terms of films, I have one that is incomplete about situationships called Spiral. And I'm also working about one that it's about toxic female friendships.
What is
And
relationships? Let's go backwards a little bit. What did you say? What does that term mean? I've never heard.
situationship, it's like a relationship that it's not defined. It's like loving someone and dating them without being someone girlfriend or boyfriend. And it's like very heavily about social media, playing games. It loves me not, but like in the modern digital like age and talking to someone through stories on your Instagram. It's a lot of fun. It's from New York. It's definitely for the girls. And it's actually like one of the funniest films I've written. And then the other one, I'm not sharing the name of that one yet,
Okay.
but it's about toxic female friendships, and it's a little bit more drama heavy, but there are some comedic releases, and we are actually filming it soon.
Oh, those both sound like really good projects, and I think will be really beneficial to women and maybe even men in understanding women and what we experience and such.
Yeah, I had a lot of actually guys watching the film and like responding to it and it's fun. I feel like it's for I feel like everything that I do is not specifically for like one, like for just girls,
Of course.
but I feel like with Spiral, this is kind of like what I had in mind. It was like it was for that. But yeah.
And these are also short films.
Yes, those two are shorts and I am writing a feature, but
Wow. So you're
we'll
very
wait.
busy. You keep very, very busy.
I try.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Is there anything that I see lots, I'm so proud of you. I see from Viosa, also that your film is really strong. Thanks for your work.
Thank you.
Also, I want you to know that there are audience members here from all over the world right now. If you could just pop in what country that you're tuning in from, I think that would mean a lot to Cheval. So we have Germany,
Wow.
we have Israel,
This
we
is so
have
fun.
the USA, we have Kosovo.
This is amazing.
Yeah, Albania. Viosa is so Viosa is the Women's Voice is Now European liaison, and she's working with young girls all
Ah,
over
we even have someone from Egypt.
Egypt. Yes, Asma. She's one of our film festival previewers. So
Wow.
great to have you, Asma. We have good friends of mine here, like Sherry. So yeah, you have a very international audience, and
This
so
is so fun.
yeah, this film is really powerful. I'm really glad that we got to have this experience together. Um, is there anything else that you'd like to leave the audience with, whether about the topic of the film or what it means to you? I think, women deal with imposter syndrome. You mentioned like to be like, yes, to be introduced as a filmmaker, what a big moment that was for you. But the more that we see individuals like you walking their talk, living their dreams, then the more of us are inspired to do so also. So again, whether piece of advice or any parting remarks on the healing from this sort of trauma or anything else, anything at all.
I have a couple of things to say. I feel like my entire life I wanted to make films. This is all I ever wanted to do. Like I didn't even realize before I started screenwriting, I didn't even realize that the way that I see the world is like it's like film. It's like a filmmaker. I didn't realize that I have um a gift as my screenwriting mentor once told me. She was like, "You're so lucky that like this is how you think." And I was like, "Oh, people don't think that way." So what I have to say is that if you have a dream, you have a dream for a reason. It's like filmmaking, it's something that was so far and like my dad didn't want me to do this. Love you, but he did not want me to do this. He would have loved for me to do something a little bit more secure with my future, but like it's not something that you choose. It's something that chooses you. And if you have a dream, you have it for a reason. It's 100% something that I believe in. And in terms of healing and trauma, what I will say that even if you have a really bad day and those come sometimes, like I feel like this is what I can say about my experience. I used to have them more often and then I had less of them. And I feel like it's important to remember that if you're having a bad day, that there will be a good day. That tomorrow is a new day. Like and it's hard. And like when you're in it, it's really hard. But um have try to find people that you can trust and you can confide in. And mental health is difficult. But yeah, that's I guess all I have to say is just try even if it's hard, try to focus on the good, on the silver lining. Um yeah.
They're beautiful words. I think they're very wise and from someone who has been through it. So it is just authentic and real. Thank you for being so vulnerable with us, Shoval. It really means a lot, really a lot.
Thank you.
I just want to give an opportunity for everyone. We're going to close in a couple minutes to give hearts and applause. And if you have any other comments that you want Shoval to know from your experience of listening to her and watching the film, you can put them in the chat or look at all of that. Look at all that love.
This is so
So
cute.
beautiful. It's so cute. It is so cute. So, to those of you who are new to Women's Voices now, once again, I want to welcome you and hope that this isn't the only time that you interact with our programs and our filmmakers. So Bonnie's going to put some links into the chat for our website, for if you want to become a crew member, which is a way to support us in a sustainable way. If you want to, what is it? Subscribe to our newsletter. Of course, we are on all social media platforms. We have a YouTube channel. We have Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever else I'm missing, we're there. Bonnie is going to start working on our TikTok even, so we're getting hip to the tricks and everything. So yes, the recording will go up on YouTube. Yes, so that's going to be available to the public. And if there are no further comments or questions, I'm going to say, Shoval, thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you for sharing your heart and your soul with us, for sharing your craft of filmmaking with us. I think this was a really nice way to spend an hour together with people from all over the world. So meaningful, so honest, so thoughtful. I'm so grateful that you found your way to us. And I hope that we will get to intersect again as well. And with that, Bonnie, I will ask you to stop the recording, and I wish you all a wonderful rest of the week.
Thank you. Thank you for organizing it, and thank you for everybody for being here. This is amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shoval.